Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 4th International Innovation Forum, ThinkTech. ThinkTech focuses entirely on technology as the field of the future. Today's guest speakers are representative of the most important companies operating in Albania and abroad. And now, please welcome our forum moderator, one of the most creative writers operating in the Albanian market, Mrs. Wendy Morava.
I was trying to let the shoes there as in the Oscars, but it doesn't work this time. Ladies and gentlemen, colleagues, students, tech lovers, friends, and especially partners, who has always been a great support to the ThinkTech, thank you for joining us in the 4th edition of ThinkTech. ThinkTech is the first innovation and technological forum in Albania, and I'm glad that the organizers have chosen me to host the forum of this year. But before starting with the speakers, we will have a great panel. We will talk about great things and their ideas. I do believe, because I saw them before, are very interesting. I want to tell you that this year we will talk about a very interesting and innovative topic. We will talk about Web3. I'm just 1 year older than the World Wide Web. So when the English computer scientist Sir Timothy John Berners-Lee presented this excellent revolutionary idea, of course I was just 1 year old, so you can do the math now. I will give you hints after, you can see how old am I. But this is going to be another point. Obviously, web is a prevalent concept for now, but Web3 is very young. Tech scientists refers it as a new iteration for World Wide Web based on the blockchain technology, which incorporates concepts such as decentralization, token-based economics, etc. There are a lot of pros and cons, and here today we will try to give an overview, and we will try to find who's pro and who's cons against this new concept. I want to start this forum with a very special person for me, because I've been working with him for 5 years now, and he's the founder of ThinkTech and founder of a lot of other institutions now in Albania. I call them institutions because they're becoming institutions. I'm talking about Mr. Erioni Sufi. Thank you very much for having me today, and now the stage is obviously yours.
Please welcome Mr. Erioni Sufi, founder of ThinkTech, founder and CEO of Landmark Communications and Technologies, CEO and co-founder of Moveo Albania Technology.
First of all, thank everybody for coming. A special thanks to our guests, to our speakers, first panel and second panel. A bigger thanks to our partners who made this possible. I cannot go around without telling it, of course, and thanking them. CISAL, especially CISAL Hub Albania. Moveo, and of course, Landmark. I will do a short presentation. I hope it will not be too long. I will start first with who we are. Maybe some people know us, maybe some don't. But last year has been a very special year for us. And why I say this? Landmark Technologies has been selected by Deloitte Southeastern Europe as one of the top fastest technological companies growing in Europe. Actually, we're not the number 1, of course, number 47, which is a big deal. Why is that a big deal? This is the first time that an Albanian company gets in such a list. It's a big recognition. It came unexpected for us and for me. I did not expect. I don't know how they measure this, but the fact is that they do. So I'm very happy and proud for this. And of course, not only me, it was alone. I cannot do much. A big applause I would like to for the whole team, for the whole landmark ever-growing family, as I like to say. Maybe it sounds a big cliche, ever-growing family, but you know, I like cliches. Yeah, I will talk about Web 1, Web 2, and Web 3. My background is I'm not a developer at all. I see myself more as a history student. So I'd like to do describe a short description of what is Web 1, Web 2, and Web 3. Maybe not all of people here are developers who do not know what it's all about. So I have put some pictures also to describe the evolution of from Web 1 to Web 3. Web 1, you see two normal kind of looking guys, Sergey Brin and Larry Page. Web 2, you see Mark Zuckerberg. He always wears pajamas and this gray T-shirt. He has no time to change his outfit. And the third one is Vitalik Buterin. I don't know what he's wearing, but it looks very uncomfortable and very weird to me to wear it. But maybe that's the whole idea of going from Web 1 to all the way to Web 3. What's the difference? The difference of Web 1, to put it plainly, you could look up on internet. Maybe most of you here are maybe younger, and maybe you do not remember the first platforms that you could, of course everybody knows Google, but Google has been evolved and developed a lot. There was also another platform where you could look up things, so you could not do any interaction with web. So the only thing you could do is look up something. It was a big web searching machine. Yahoo still exists, but not as big as it used to be. And of course, Google is still around. They have developed into this massive conglomerate of companies. I think they also, no, they didn't change the name. But the main thing is that Web 1 did not permit you to interact with internet. That led into Web 2. So this guy, Mark Zuckerberg, from the dorms of Harvard, he came up with the idea of Facebook. Still a big question if he came up with the idea or somebody else did, but let's keep it to him. And he thought, and after Facebook, also Twitter, and also other platforms, social platforms, that you could interact with the web. So you could not only look up, but talk to other people, put more information. I don't know if somebody remembers the first Facebook, how it was, back in 2004, 2005. It was very basic. So you could put a picture of yours, and maybe some information about yourself, being single, I like movies, books, and then it evolved into putting some pictures where you were. And now you have, of course, now you have all other social platforms, I'm not going to name, but also Instagram and tens, maybe hundreds of them, who have developed from Web 2, actually from this guy, Mark Zuckerberg. Actually, we are in the, I'd say, in the top of Web 2, and maybe this is leading to the Web 3. This guy, Vitalik, I think 10 years ago, he came up with this blockchain magazine, and he invented Ethereum. The whole idea, I have put Vitalik there, but it's not only him, there are other guys as well. The whole idea is to decentralize web, because now they say that web is controlled by the big four, Google, Microsoft, Facebook, and Amazon, which is true. And in a way, it is controlled, so you cannot do as much as whatever people want to do. Vitalik said, let's decentralize it. Let's make it open for everyone. You can use all actually, sky's the limit. But sky's the limit also brings many question marks. Question marks that are related with security concerns, terrorism, money laundering. So if everybody can do everything with internet, especially payment, so who controls what? So it's also a big no-no for the banks and so on. I myself, I don't want to take a stand of being in favor or against Web 3, but I'm concerned about especially this securities that it brings, issues that it brings with it. What's the future? Yeah, I'll go back to us, to our big family. Over the last years, we have had, together Landmark and Moveo, have had a tremendous growth, actually, thanks to everybody who's involved. And I don't want to say that we have revolutionized the market, the industry in Tirana, but maybe we have. As a matter of fact, we have made this beautiful map of Europe in dots. I asked for a map with borders, but the younger generation, they don't like borders, so they put this, that you know what they are. Basically, we have divided in two parts. So the development centers, which we have, one is in London, one is in Dresden, and one is in Milan, and the software development centers, where people, let's say, work. In Cosenza, South Italy, Tirana, Pristina, in Kosovo, and soon in Skopje. We have already put it on the map, because it exists as an entity, to be honest, but we have not yet any employee fixed there. I'm very proud for this map, actually, and it gives a message that if you work hard, sometimes it pays off, sometimes it... Yeah. Last but not least is ThinkTech. Why we came up with ThinkTech a few years ago? The whole idea, going back to the cliche, is to give to the youth and to young professionals the idea, not only the idea, but the opportunity that there are big companies, corporations in Albania. As a matter of fact, the three speakers that are going to speak right now are a clear example from CISL. They're looking for another, I don't know how many, not only developers, but I think in all other professions. Ilir from One Telecommunications, and of course a good example of a hard working pays off is Danilo, one of our guys. So there's plenty of work in Tirana, and to see young people leave, it's not a good thing. It hurts. So we try to bring ThinkTech. The team, they thought of this bridge, who has been in prison. I think maybe is very familiar with this kind of bridge. It's an old Albanian architecture, or maybe Ottoman style. Let's keep it Albanian for the time being. And the bridge it connects, I guess, Albania and Kosovo. So next ThinkTech, I hope with the help of maybe the same players or some other players in Kosovo, we will go there and spread this good message, positive message of stay here. There are lots of opportunities. There is a good future here. Not everything is black, of course, but also not everything is white. So after the first panel, there's a short break, maybe 15, 20 minutes. So we might have a coffee or water or some refreshments. So don't leave, please, because also the second panel is a very cool one. It's more focused on youth and education. So I don't know what to choose, the first panel, one I myself, or the second panel. But that I leave it up to you. Thank you very much. And Wendy?
Thank you, Mr. Isofe. Actually, I have a question, because all of this decentralization was even represented in the key visual of the map of Europe.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah?
So you okay with this idea of a new Web3? You accept it? Because it was like a bit...
I don't know.
You have a concern there.
I have a bit of a concern, because a good friend of mine, who's also here, told me that, I don't want to say too familiar, that a good friend of his, he won some money with blockchain. And how did you win? He said, I have no idea how I won.
Okay.
So I said, what do you do, man? I don't know. And the first thing is to win the money, to get the money from, and then how to spend it. It's very tough to spend the money, because you cannot spend it anywhere. I mean, you cannot spend it everywhere. So it's very still.
Okay, we will wait and see.
Let's wait and see.
Let's wait and
But
see.
I hope that not another more normal guy will come, that Vitalik, the guy with the bear costume. So, anyway.
Okay, now I would like to present to all of you another speaker, a very great lady, which is here. We'll give first of all to the lady, and then after to the misters, the world. A leader with a sound cultural background, they wrote to me, excellent soft skills and strong technological expertise in innovation, and particularly in defining and delivering IE solution to improve the company performance. Talented in driving and motivating groups to work together with energy and passion, delivering outstanding results even in a complex organization context. I'm talking about Mrs. Maria Gemona, Head of Innovation Lab at CISAL.
Please welcome the Head of Innovation Lab of CISAL Italia, Mrs. Marina Gemona.
Thank you very much for the invitation. Hi, everybody. And as said, I'm leading the innovation lab that has been recently opened by CISAL in Torino. And what we are trying to do is to envision the future, so to understand what's going to happen and how the company can leverage the future. So survive and get bigger and get healthier. So you always need to keep an eye on the future. So Web 3.0 is one of the futures. And I'm going to give you much more questions than answers, because it's a big question mark, what's going to happen with Web 3.0. And as I'm probably the oldest here, I have the benefit of having witnessed it personally to the birth of Web 1, Web 2, and now Web 3. So I remember exactly what happened at the time. And I think that what happened with the previous web could help us think that what's being said now about Web 3 might not be what Web 3 is actually going to happen. So I'm trying to give you some hints to keep an eye to some things happening in order to be able to foresee what's going to happen. So in Web 1.0, when we started, it was just a number of HTML pages all around. And the question was, how do I get to the content that I'm interested in? And nobody thought about a search. Because at the time, when you search something, you didn't find anything, unless you knew exactly what to look for. There were no intelligent algorithm that helped you match maybe typos or similar words or similar semantic, nothing. So the search was almost unuseful. And so we started with portals. So Yahoo was a very big player at the time because he had a very well-made portal. And that's why I think it's why people came from the paradigm of the TV. You open the TV and you wait to see what TV proposes to you. And so they went to the web and they opened a portal, the one they preferred, and see what the portal was proposing to them. But then, after that, the internet came to normal use and people get more used to it, so the culture changed. What happened? That Google came up with the well-known search. These are all vintage screenshots. Very, well, you see they are vintage. And so the paradigm changed, and people started go to the internet with the idea of looking for something. But that has, every change, I think, has a cultural component and a technological component, and they have to be aligned in order for things to work. So people was now acculturated, so was used to looking, was used about the web, and so got the idea of being able to search for things. And Google got the technology. That was a breakout technology, really, really good one with respect to the others. And I think that's what really changed completely the world of the web at the time. So Yahoo now is it's a great company, but nothing compared to what it was at the time. And Google, when it was born, was like a little ant with relation to Yahoo. And now it's the other way around. So we must try and understand when these changes happen and why, so in order to foresee them. So Web 2.0, when it started, there was a very, very famous social network that was called MySpace. And it had like, I don't know, 5 times the users than Facebook in 2006. I just saw some figures, so it was 5 times as much as Facebook. And it seemed that MySpace could never die. It was like skyrocketing. And it was centered on products. So people was there, you had your own space, it was MySpace, but normally you showcased things that you did. You were a musician or an artist, or you composed poems, or there was something that you liked that you could deliver, but it was product-centered. So there were many communities of interest around products. And you could, of course, comment and interact. But then we all know what happened. Everything changed, and the more people get used to go into the web, to interact, to create their own page, the more it seemed that you could be on the web even if you didn't have anything special to see. You were special as a person. So what was focused on was the single person. And what was the technology that enabled this? Who knows? Ta-da! The mobile technology. Because that's the way that I could now take a picture. Oh, I should have brought my mobile. So I could take a picture of myself like that with you and put it on my social network, and that's so easy. And that happened when the mobile technology became mainstream. So everybody could be someone on Facebook, and that's what made that change. And that's why MySpace, well, one of the reasons why MySpace delivered. But then there are many other things that happened in the meanwhile. For example, a change of the platform economy. The fact that anyone could very easily give feedback and comment and upload pictures, that made really the success of those companies. So TripAdvisor, Airbnb, they disintermediate. So they took a place between customers and end user, and they automated, so they made with very few people and very much automation what you needed a lot of people in advance to do. So they got really, really rich, and they still are ongoing. And what is that they exploited? Oops. Ta-da. People willingness to write things for free. That's what they do. We all do things for free for those companies. When we give feedback, when we put stars to something that we buy, or a place where we go, or a hotel is an accommodation that we go to, or things that we buy. So this is what really made all these platforms rich, and there are many more of them. These are the richest, but there are a lot, right? So this is the fact that people is used to give feedback on Facebook, on MySpace, has now brought a new economy to flourish. Wow, sorry. So now, what's the situation now? I realize now that I missed Instagram, so it's which is probably the most common now. Anyway, what's happened now on this platform is that they are places where you just hang out. You go there for no reason. Do you have an objective when you connect to one of those platforms? You just want to spend time, like going to the city center or going to the shopping center or whatever. So hanging out. And all those compete with each other in order to keep your attention, because their money is your attention. That's how they make money, by following what you do and having your eyeball time so that they can sell it to the advertisement people. So in all these changes, you see Google survives. Google survives and is getting better and better. So the way that Google survives, the way that this platform keeps you attached with your eyes attached on the platform, stands in the way they are able to choose among billions of possible content that they could show you. They show exactly how many posts do you see, how many pictures do you watch on Instagram? I don't know, 100, 200, but potentially they could be billions, not millions, billions that you could be interested in, billions of pictures and stories and movies and posts. So what chooses what's good for you is an algorithm. So algorithms are at the core of this new revolution, which is the artificial intelligence, and are also at the core of Google's success, because their search engine that was great in 2003 is getting better and better, using always new and powerful algorithm in order to give you exactly the result that you are looking for. This is almost magic. But in fact, it's technology again. So in the meanwhile, another couple of things happened. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but in 2004, I think, there was something called Second Life, which still exists. They told me it still exists, but nobody cares about it. It was not a video game, it was an enormous, we would call it metaverse now, because it was a 3D space where each people could create its own avatar with outfits and choosing anything. And you just went there to hang around. But, you know, culture was not ready yet. So this would be a successful metaverse now, but at the time, people was not ready. They didn't know what to do there. There was no technology in order to give you the contents that you would be interested in when you were in that universe. And it was too similar to real life. You had in 3D exactly the same thing that you had in real life. So I said, well, I stay in real life. Why should I go there? So it just went down. It had a boom, a big hype, but after a few years, it just went down, and nobody is caring about it anymore. On the contrary, what happened is that video games are getting really a huge market share. So as you know, there are, I don't know the figures by heart, but a lot of money going around video games. And also the business model of the video games changed. It's not anymore that you buy the video game, you buy the console. Most of them you get for free. And the more you play, the more you get involved in the game, and the more you are willing to buy for a few bucks, $1, 50 cents, to buy things that make your character more cool or more beautiful, or in some cases more powerful. But even if there is no connection with the functionality of the game, you just want to distinguish your avatar, well, your virtual representation from the others, so you're available to spend a few bucks to buy it. And this is something that we have to take into account, because that's 3D, that's something where you play and you are inside, so it's the most similar thing to a metaverse. And what the blockchain and the distributed leverage technology is doing to that word is that you are decoupling the actions that you do with a single game. Once you buy something in one game, you can buy it using an NFT, a non-fungible token, and that stuff will be yours, and you will be able to take it with you in any other space, in any other virtual space. So you buy things almost in real digital life. So you're not in Fortnite, you buy it in Fortnite, but then you can bring it with you in other video games. That's one of the key points of the Web 3.0. You are able to do things and being the owner of what you do. And in the future, maybe you will be able to take tests and do stuff, and being able to achieve some certificates of being able of doing something in the various video games and take it with you and use it in real life. That's the potential of the web. It's not there yet, but this is where potentially it could go. So, questions to take with you. What should we need to focus on? Web 3 is often associated with 3D. I'm not sure that 3D makes always sense. If you remember, like 10 years ago, all the movies seemed to be in 3Ds. Cinemas were in 3Ds. And now, luckily, they're not in 3D anymore, because it was really a headache to look at those things in 3D. But they had a hype, and it seemed that that was the future. But probably, in some cases, it makes sense. In other cases, it doesn't. So think about it. Semantic web. We talk about semantic, but it's actually statistics. The current AI research is leveraging on statistics. All algorithms are statistical. Well, there are some called ontologies that give you an idea of how is the world and the different concepts, but most of it, 95%, is statistical. Research is ongoing to try to mix the two approaches. The old statistical approach that models how the world is made, and the relationships within concepts, and the statistical one, which is Google, which is Facebook, which is all the algorithms that we see now in place. And that will be a real big step forward, but we don't know when we'll happen. We are not there yet, not even near. So we call semantic web, it's probably a just intelligent or artificially intelligent web, but there might be a huge step up in the future. Blockchain, Danilo will talk about blockchain afterwards, so you will know where. But what I think is that if something can be disintermediated, it will. That's a rule. That's what always has happened. So probably it will happen also. And then another question is, okay, we say it's decentralized and everything, but someone will own the customer. And that's always a key point. The money follows the customer. So the question that we should keep in mind in the next years when things will change and new hypes will come is, who is owning the customer? Who is nudging the customer towards what it does? Who can sell the customer information? That's a really key point. And it's very unlikely that our data and our information will be ours and stop. Someone will always have access to it. So we need to make up our mind, and it's not easy. You need to make a huge reflection on that. But thinking about that, follow the customer is like follow the money. And well, the other one is, will Google survive to Web 3.0? That's another good question. So we should always think, are we ready for another cultural shift? Are we ready for changing from the portals to the search, and now from the search to something else? Is there something else after, is there life after the search? So that's another question. And what new paradigms will substitute, could eventually, possibly substitute the search? And another, will this information intermediation, what I meant before when I say that when you connect to something, you got only that part of information that the algorithm decide that you are interested in. At the end, you will be interested to the things that the algorithm decide that you're interested to. So you get nudged by the algorithm. So it's a kind of intermediation. This is something that we should really think about And will it be addressed? I don't know, only questions. And well, if I were a young person, I would study, just to give a few hints and not only questions, I would study 3D modeling. That's something that will work. If not for the Web3 as a whole, for video games for sure. If I were an architect, I would try and learn how to design virtual spaces. It mustn't be easy to create the world. As an engineer, I would have no idea how to build like a 3D house, so I would need an architect. And probably architect would need to study how to become 3D architects. As an ergonomist, how do you orient yourself in a 3D world? You don't have like Google Maps in the 3D world, so you would need like what they call affordances to move. So as an ergonomist, there will be a lot of work. And also, if you have to develop such work, I suggest to have a very multidisciplinary team, because you really need humanists to move into this new world. As an innovator, as I said before, you need to put together video games, the metaverse, the blockchain, the potential of the AI, and try to figure out what's going to happen. And this is what you are trying to do at the CISL Innovation Lab. So we try to look forward by talking with the other units, the other function of the company, and try to envision what's going to happen by taking into account all these trends, and trying to apply short-term innovation, especially AI solution, into the company to get the benefits in the short term, and also to collaborate with university, with other companies, and with research centers, startups, in order to open our mind and see what comes, get the new stimulus to envision the future. And that's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Marina.
I give it to the next.
Yes, please. Before going to the other speaker, just a short question.
Sure.
Is utopic, or it gives you freedom, the Web 3.0? Is utopic in terms of it will gonna happen or no, or is an utopic idea, or it will give us freedom somehow? Just an opinion now.
It's
just to
it's
understand.
a tough question.
Yes,
I thought you were asking me, like, do you like Albania? And instead you ask me this difficult question. No, I think it will happen.
It will happen.
Yeah, for sure it will happen. Yeah, I can put some blockchain money on it.
Oh, okay. We have an investor, everybody. NFTs around. Who's producing NFTs? We have investors here. We can open a bid now. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now we will pass to another direction, but not so far, but not so far away from Albania. But we'll talk about speed, we'll talk about coverage somehow.
And personal experience.
Yeah, it's a lot of experience there. I guess probably maybe 1 century ago, the futuristic revolution talks about speed. Talks about speed because speed is very important. It's very important to go not from point A to point B, but to give a point of view and revolutionize all the, not only movement, but the way we work and we think. So we are going to invite now Mr. Ilir Duka, who is a great engineer, and he has been working for 3 decades now in the mobile telecommunication in Albania, and he will talk about Web3 and not only. Thank you very much.
Please welcome Mr. Ilir Duka, Technical Director of One Telecommunications.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, the organizers, for inviting me here and for the presentation, nice presentation of me. Okay, I am glad, first of all, that I will speak for some technological developments of the company and the operator that I am working. But first of all, I'm glad that I am in front of an audience which is full of young people. Okay, I guess you are living the 20s. Most of you. Even myself, I tend to be at this age, maybe you as well. But, okay, it's very interesting because at this age, I started my professional career. Back in 1995, I joined the first mobile operator in the country. It was just an idea and plan at that time. And I lived all the journey of this technological development for this company. So it started with generations. Okay, mobile telephony developed in generations. In 20s, I undertook the construction of a GSM network for Albania, the first one in the region. And then at 30s, I started transforming it to a 3G network, which were bringing more focus on the data communication between users. At 40s, then I'm leaving the 4G plus network. Okay. This year, I'm just completing the 50s. I'm just starting. Okay, at July, I will do 50 years old. And then in front of me will be another challenge. Okay, it's 5G. Most probably in coming year, in our mobile phones, okay, we'll see a 5G, okay, sign there. So it's a very interesting journey in technology. And what came in my mind, and I asking myself what made me in this area and in the same company for 27 years. Okay, it's a lot, a long time, 27 years within the same company since I finished my studies. And I think that there are 2 things that made me to stay in this position. First of all was the passion for the innovation, for the new things. Back in time, mobile telephony was, as I said, was just an idea, plan. Nothing was material, and we built it. Okay, we started with a lot of courage this journey, and we constructed what was today one of the biggest operators in the country, offering communication for the users. Generation after generations, we can see that there is a significant improvement, in years in what technology this mobile technology is offering to the customers. And what is the most important is that it is adapting to the demands of the users, which are increasing in years, and fulfill and facilitate their life. This is the most important thing. So join technology and going after innovation, okay, what was one of my drivers to stay so long in this industry. And the second one, I will say it was the trust and the positiveness that I had as a person, and then I implied that in my everyday job. Okay, and that it based on some very simple principles that everything is possible, even in the technology, whatever it may look like a difficult thing, it can be done. It's possible. Okay, not only as I was referring at my very beginning in this professional life, but even 3 years ago, being a technical director of my company, I undertook with a lot of courage to say, to transform our network, which was Telecom Albania at that time, a significant transformation, building almost a new network, swapping all the legacy technology to a new one, moving from Nokia, that was the vendor, to a new vendor which was Ericsson. These are names which are leading, the supply in mobile technology. And it was a transformation that was somehow unique, not in Albania, but also in the region, maybe even in the Europe, where in a big bank, you should move from one infrastructure to the other one. Okay, it was a lot of preparation, maybe 1 year and a half of preparation, which ended up that everything should change in half an hour of one night. Okay. Of course, despite the preparation, there were all the moments that maybe even big guys like Mark Zuckerberg or, I don't know, Jeff Bezos has experienced in their initiatives and their projects. I will just tell two moments that we faced difficulties, for sure. There were moments that we're in dilemma that it will be completed or not, this transformation within this big bank. Okay, at certain point of time, I was saying to my team that when we're passing one of the main difficulties, I was saying that from this point on time, whatever obstacle will appear is going to disappear. Trust me. Okay. And really, it was like that, okay? Till the morning, okay, the issues were coming one after another, but in a matter of minutes or half an hour, everything was solved. And we're so emotionally satisfied from this transformation that we're materializing what was the effort of 1.5 years preparing the network for this big transformation. So with the transformation that one did, now we did a lot of improvements on the infrastructure because the main investment is in the infrastructure. We improved the coverage of one telecommunication going to very remote areas countrywide because we introduced 2 layers of usage in some frequencies that were not before, for 3G for voice, for 4G for data, based on the spectrum of frequencies that we got from the authorities. But what was the most important thing was that we prepared our network for the new era, for the era of 5G. So from hardware perspective, the network will be able to support 5G in coming year. Maybe it will start end of this year as a process from the licensing perspective, but for sure in 2023 this will be a reality, maybe starting from the main urban areas and then expanding all over the country. Hardware-wise, we are ready. It will be just a matter of software, but we have all the agreements with our vendor, Ericsson, to enable it immediately as it will be committed towards the authorities. Preparations are done also from other operators and from the government itself, and this will become a reality. Another thing that we have prepared, also the IoT. IoT can be Internet of Things, just to say it. Okay, it is an internet connectivity not just of the persons or human beings, which was so far, but connectivity of objects, of tools, of different or of materials that will enable a communication and monitoring and improvement of the productivity, efficiency of businesses, of governmental entities, of startups which may have ideas or business ideas which can use the 5G network and IoT in order to enable these ideas and their businesses. It's a revolution indeed in this part. Imagine, I may mention several use cases for this, which could be in healthcare, in transport, in agriculture, in shopping, okay, and several areas where application of Internet of Things technology can be applied. 5G itself will bring three major things versus 4G or past technologies. It will be an enhanced user experience via smartphones or tablets in the wireless connectivity, which means that it will speak for speeds, download speeds of up to 10 gigabit per second. Okay, today in 4G we reach 1.2 gigabit per second, the maximum speed. We are speaking for almost 10 times more. In average, one user will experience around 200 to 300 megabit per second if he is doing a download speed test with Ookla, let's say. Okay, this will enable a lot file upload, file download, even streaming, TV streaming. A file of resolution of 8K can be downloaded 5 times faster versus 4G technology. I'm speaking for 5G technology. Another area where 5G is contributing is the mission-critical applications. I'm referring to usage in the civil emergencies, in the healthcare, okay, in the police can use such network in order to have a very immediate, instant response to any emergency. And this comes because 5G technology will shorten the latency from around 10 milliseconds that is in 4G technology to 1 millisecond. So it's an immediate response time of connectivity of a user with a respective server. So it's a 10 times improvement in this matter. Third area that 5G will contribute is, as I said, massive IoT. Okay. We are speaking for creating capacities in our data centers to connect millions and millions of devices, okay, that will be interconnecting with each other in that was called Internet of Things. These are the three main areas that 5G will contribute. Now, connecting it with Web 3. Okay, I was glad that hearing Marina that mentioned mobile technology as an enabler of what was in the web world. This is the truth. This is based on this infrastructure, which is based on 5G generation. We make possible all this transformation. Okay. Indeed, do I trust in Web 3 or not? Okay. I tend to believe that since there is an evolution in technology in different generations, for sure it will be in web. We are living now Web 2, will go for sure maybe in few years to Web 3, and maybe Web 4 or Web 5, who knows? Okay, but this will belong to the future. And also, secondly, I tend to believe that this will coexist Web 3 with Web 2. Okay, since there is demand for more democratization or liberalization or massivity of communication, okay, and there are people that will grab, will contribute in this idea, there will be users or investors that will invest in Web 3. So we may leave two webs for several years, Web 3 and Web 2 coexisting with each other, and the share between them will be dependent on the people itself and developers itself, which will go in one, okay, will prefer one or the other. So coexistence of both of them and further development for sure. Okay, and last thing I want to say that I want to read with Albanian environment. In Albania, based on what I said, for 5G development, for other projects like deploying fiber connectivity all over the country, digitalization, there are a lot of opportunities for young people to be part, to be onboarded on all these projects, to deploy their ideas. There is a lot of opportunity. I'm saying this from my personal experience, as I explained before, and I wish to every one of you to have courage, to be involved in its innovation, because with courage and with passion, you can move forward. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now he's going in 5G down there.
Yeah.
In the 5G speed. Okay, yesterday, here in this very stage, we organized a very, very beautiful hackathon, and it was very impressive even for me, because it was the first time that I was holding this this kind of show plus marathon plus technology plus everything else. So I was amazed by the young and their ideas. Obviously, one group was the winner, and we had today with us to talk about blockchain, token economies, and etc. Mr. Danilo Kasemi.
Hello.
Hello. Thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you for the invitation.
Yesterday, you and your group realized a very beautiful project. It was interesting because it was influenced by the situation after COVID, and for sure, it is very important. Plus, even the Web3 can be a very good generator for a situation like global pandemic or global situation that will imply a lot of people together. So Web3, it's a step further toward managing this kind of situations. But you have the word now, because you will talk more in definition, and I'm not the expert here, so please blockchain us.
Please welcome Mr. Danilo Kasemi, Project Manager at Moveo Albania Technology.
Hello, everyone. Today, I want to talk a little bit about data. We are used to work with a lot of data, especially with the rising of the technology. We know very much that how important are these data, especially in the companies that work in the technology companies, but also in the other fields. With the growing technologies and the new innovations like smart city, smart home, blockchain, and artificial intelligence, we know that we have to use this data in the proper way. I would like to check a little bit that how this data flow in the Web3. There are a lot of rumors, a lot of conspiracy, criticism, misinformation, and bad orientation regarding the Web3. And this is normal, I think, because as we know, new things have to come through big criticism. Let me explain a little bit, not technical, but just with the simple words, that what is in fact Web3. It's simply the next major phase in the evolution of the internet. We have seen Web 1, Web 2, and we have seen also the transition from Web 1 to the Web 2. But there was not so much noise during this phase of transition as much as it is now from Web 2 to the Web 3. And this happens because Web 3 comes with the vision of the decentralized online ecosystem. What we mean by this? Let's take a simple example, let's say Twitter. How is the Twitter in the Web 2 and how could it be in the Web 3? Now Twitter can censor any account or tweet, but in the Web 3 it cannot. Regarding the other services, which we are starting to get used to, like the banker services, for example, payments, payment services may decide to reject your payments, but in Web 3 cannot. And like these are a lot of examples, which I want to explain a little bit the evolution from Web 1. We came from Web 1, which in fact was a decentralized protocol, but was a static one, so it was very limited. From Web 1, in the Web 2, we saw the rise of the social media giants. We saw Facebook, Instagram, Google, etc. And what they do, in fact, they provide to us service, but not so free. They use our data for this service. And the advantage in this case for the Web 3 is that in the Web 3, the applications, the systems, the technology is developed, owned, and maintained by the user. So we do not have to give our data for free. By decentralization, we mean the user ownership. So we're passing from data monarchy to the data democracy. So every user, in fact, is a stakeholder and have the opportunity to decide over the system by voting, so through a voting system. If we see the market and how it is going to affect the market, especially in our technology field, we see that there will be a highly demand for the data scientists, because we need so much other new artificial intelligence models and so much new data scientists to analyze and to integrate this data in the new software solutions. Also, this gives an opportunity to users and to the data scientists. To the users, because they now can sell their data, so we are not giving the data for free, and to the data scientists and machine learning engineers to buy this data and to improve and integrate even better machine learning models. But said like this, it looks like all this ecosystem and all this philosophy and everything does not have any problem, or not. But there are some problems. Let's take an example of the Bitcoin. If we check about the 2% of the accounts of the Bitcoins, control 95% of the Bitcoin. So this in fact breaks the idea of decentralization, because now only this 2% of the accounts has to decide over the whole system. But not only this, because of being so decentralized, because of being so independent, it leads not to control from the legal entities. And this could lead into money laundering, fraud, drug trafficking, etc. A lot of crime problems. But according to the Robert Schuller, problems are not stop signs. They are guidelines. So we can find a solution for everything, because we will not stop the advancing in the technology because of the problems. One of the problems to be solved are the regulations. So in the beginnings, the countries, the governments, the legal entities and everything had not information regarding what is coming. And this way everyone was unprepared. If we see now, there are a lot of countries, so much governments, which has started to take measures regarding this, approving new laws, adding other extra regulations, etc. Another problem, another solution to these problems is the stability. We forget that the technology is so new and immature. So we need some time, and we need to leave the time to get stable and to have the opportunity to see all the advantages that we can take from this technology. Let's make a comparison, for example. We all know Node.js, which with the one that we develop a lot of web applications. And it has been produced over 30 years ago, while Ethereum has just 7 years since its creation. The AVS infrastructure has more than 15 years in the market, while the decentralization and a decentralized infrastructure system like IPFC has just 5 years since its creation. So it's so much immature. And to close it in a funny way, thank you.
Thank you, Danilo.
Thank you.
Now we came in the end of this first part, but we will come back again very soon with very exciting panels as well. I would like to thank you all for being here today and giving us your ideas, your opinions. We've been talking from Innovation Hub to mobile to new thoughts about this Web3. And after that, we will pass to banking, to our DNA, our blueprint. And not only, we'll talk about as well architectures and Web3. So stay with us. We will come back again after a short break. Thank you.
Ma shifen is
back again in this second part of ThinkTech for today. As I promised before, we'll have this second panel. I'm very excited to present to you 4 other speakers. They will obviously enlighten us with their ideas. They will correlate Web3 with their field of interest and profession. And for sure, we will have to meet not only this new concept that we're talking about today, Web3, but to understand a little bit more of this environment, such as banking, such as developing websites and collecting data for our DNAs. We'll talk about coding and, of course, new hubs in Tirana. And in the end, we will see how the study of architecture and engineer can meet together and be straightforward, linked to this new era of technology. But first of all, I would like to present to you a very special lady. She is here with us for the second time. She is Ms. Belma Lushi, Deputy Head of Private Client and Banking Service Department of Procradit Bank. Thank you very much for being here with us today. When people think of banking, they immediately start thinking about security, data security, and of course, are they going to manage my money good? Yeah. How I'm going to invest, and et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, that's
you will talk with us.
Yes,
it's very important. You will show us a little bit more about Procradit and this topic, and the stage is all yours.
Thank you very much.
Please welcome Mrs. Belma Lushi, Deputy Head of Private Client and Banking Services Department of Procradit Bank, Albania.
Good morning or good afternoon. Good morning, imagine. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Arion. Thank you, Landmark, for inviting me for the second time, as Wendy mentioned. It's actually a pleasure to be here and to talk in front of the youth and to talk about such important things such as digitalization, but what it comes with digitalization, and especially when we talk about banking sector and when we talk about a bank in itself trying to be digital and to progress in technology, we have to mention and we have to think of the security. As Wendy well mentioned, when we think about a bank, we think about the security and how secure are my money. And it's a responsibility of the bank to ensure this security to the clients. And I have been working in Procradit since 2005, so a lot of years. And through this time, we had a huge technological progress all over the world, but also in our bank. And when we remember what does it mean security before and what does it mean security for the bank today, there are quite interesting but quite different. When it comes to before, it was that the customer experience and the customers were relying to the bank staff in front of theirs. So when you have your money and you go to the bank to deposit, then you rely on the discussion and on the person that you have in front of you. You ask her, you discuss, you chit-chat, and you are sure in a way that those money, they explain to you that these money are kept in a safe, they are locked, so your money it's okay. When it comes to digitalization and when it comes to banks that are going through digitalization, that you don't see anymore these people. So today, being a digital bank, as we are in Albanian sector, then you need to trust something which is much more abstract than the physical person that you have in front of you. You have to trust the platforms, electronic platforms. You have to trust also something which you cannot see, you cannot touch, you cannot discuss, debate with him. And that's why it's very important, and it's much more responsibility of the banks and of the companies who go through digitalization in order to be sure that the platform that they offer are really secure. And when we see a digital bank and we see a platform, or when we say that this bank is good in digitalization, in customer overview or in customer perception, it's measured in a way by looking at the platforms, how fancy they are, how friendly you can use them, so easy to use this platform. And that's okay, but that it's not everything, because the most important thing is how secure they are. And that's the responsibility for the bank to invest in such securities in order to be able to offer the proper solutions to clients and to ensure them that they will be safe. So how we do this and how we are in a way responsible to offer to our clients not only fancy and best platforms, but also very secure one. I will try to explain to you in the latest slides. So we will try to focus and to explain first who we are. I think that I need to, you see? We need technology everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's on.
It's on, yes.
Okay. Okay. So, who we are. In this picture here, you will see that there is a bank and there is another name. Many can be familiar, many can be not familiar. With Procradit Bank, I'm sure that in Albania you are familiar as a digital bank. With Kipu, I'm not quite sure, as it is an international group and is located in Germany and in other countries. We are an international group with our headquarters in Germany, and we are a group of banks, of 13 banks in different countries. In our strategy, we have been for so many years trying to be digital and trying to progress in technology and offering the best solution to our clients. And we wanted to be a direct bank in a way that all routine transactions clients could be able to do by themselves. And today speaking, we are very proud to announce, but also to emphasize that 100% of our transactions are done electronically through our platforms, through our machines. So now we can consider that we are a digital bank for our routine transactions. And now we have our staff that it's not doing anymore. Transaction is not counting cash, but what they are doing financial advice. Financial advice to all clients, businesses, and PI when they have more complex things to think about or to decide, such as investing in some properties, investing in getting a loan from the bank, but also investing their money in the bank. But having and going and being today digital and being today able to speak to you about digitalization, and let me remark that we are leaders in a way in digitalization, and we are the first bank that started actually the process of digitalization in Albania. And you will see later our journey, because the digitalization in Procradit didn't came as in recent years, but actually it was a process that we have been going through in several years. But it could not have been possible without having the support from an IT company, because we know that it's very important also to have the partners, the right partners, in order to do the technological progress. And Kipu is part of Procradit Group, so it's part of our group, and having in-house, our own in-house IT company, IT service provider, is very important for us to push forward the technological progress, but also to be able to implement all the best practices that there are over the world when it comes to digitalization of the banking sector. Kipu has an experience as a company of 35 years, and it's an international group headquartered as well in Germany, and also they have also 8 different offices all around the world, in which it gives us the opportunity to bring in Albania the best practices and also the best digital platforms from all over the world in Albania. Having as well in mind the collaboration and the way how we work with Kipo, we are agile. What does it mean? It means that we are able to have next to us the IT company we discuss, and we don't just stick to a plan that we have done and trying to reach the end. No, not at all. As soon as we have a solution in one of the banks, and then we can immediately roll out in all our other banks. But maybe during this time, and we know that we are living in an ever-evolving environment, we need to adjust, we need to change, we need to adapt of the environment. So being and having Kipo in our group, it's quite an asset for us in order to bring the technological progress forward. I mentioned that there are located in 8 countries, other countries, and they are located also in the European Union. That gives us the opportunity also to bring even in Albania the best solution and this experience and expertise that is already there in Europe, to bring it also in Albania. And the third thing that I wanted to mention is that it's very important, the security that I already talked about. But being and having the bank as well in European Union, but also the IT company, we are proud to say that all of our banks, including Procradit Bank Albania, we are GDPR compliant. What does it mean, and what is GDPR compliant? GDPR is a piece of legislation, in short, shortly to explain. It's a piece of legislation passed recently by European Union, which standardized in a way data protection towards the countries in European Union. So in every country, it's obliged, in European Union, it's obliged to have these high standards of GDPR when it comes to data protection of customers. What is beneficial for us is that being compliant with the GDPR, we or our customers, even though they have account in Albania, and Albania is not a European Union country, they can be as safe and as secure as if they would have an account in European Union. And we can proudly say that we are a very secure bank, and we want to offer security to all our customers, that they, in a way, invest in our bank, and also they keep their savings or their life savings in our bank. From Kipo, let's go to our technological progress. As I said, that in 17 years that I'm working from Procradit, I've been witnessing all of this technological or all of these digitalization things that we have done through the years. So, as I mentioned before, it's not something that it came recently years. We started the process of digitalization before, and for sure we will continue, because we know that technology, it's not stopping, it's just going forward. So we came in 2004 with the first ATM in Albania. So from that moment, clients started to withdraw money from an ATM and not going and to see the lady who is working as a cashier. In 2009, we introduced and we said that we brought the experience from European experience, that now our clients in Albania can also do payments through online. They can do payments from their home or from their offices. So we introduced the internet banking and we implemented it in our bank. The biggest digitalization in a way, or the biggest investment that we have done, actually happened in 2015. When it comes to money, it was the biggest investment in the whole banking sector. And it is 24/7 zone. And what is it, 24/7 zone? Now clients, it's not that they can just withdraw money or just they do some payments from home, but now they can go to the bank and they can self-serve themselves. There are part of the branches in which the clients go, and without a person, they can do all the transactions that they need. There are machines there in which they can offer to the clients all the transactions, and they can perform all transactions by themselves. It was not easy. Today it's good to say that we were the first, and we are happy to announce that we were so happy to have 24/7 zones. But being in a market which is very traditional when it comes to banking sector, it was not that easy. People are used, and clients and citizens were used to go to the bank and to talk with the bank staff. And in a way, even the trust was not built, and we needed to change the culture. And in 2 years, being consistent and working hard and having actually a very professional staff, we were able to manage and to shift all the transactions, all routine transactions, to those machines. So in 2017, 99% of our transactions are performed by automatic channels. And that is the thing that we are most proud of, in a way, because we were able also to change the mindset that you don't need a person to do some transactions, and you can do them by themselves. It continues in 2019 with another innovation, which now it's more directed to also individuals. And we put it this direct approach in a way that even individuals, private clients, they can serve themselves for everything. And now it is the innovation that it comes not anymore in e-banking, but mainly through mobile banking. Because as we were discussing today, it is very important also the technology and the way how the environment is going. Everyone has the mobile phone, so even the banking should be on mobile. Being digital is good, it's cool, but also as a bank we need to be responsible for what we offer and responsible for the environment. What we see here is related also with digitalization, but it's related also in the environment that we live. We talk about the importance of the environment, the greenhouse emission reduction that we need to do. And also, in many years, we have been investing in renewables projects, but also in energy efficiency measures that our clients have done. And starting from the end of the last year, we saw that it was also an opportunity that even in Albania to introduce electric cars. So shifting from a traditional car to an electric car. What we observed, but not only in Albania, because also in Balkan and also in Eastern Europe where we have our banks, we have seen that there is no infrastructure. And the latest project that we have done is that we addressed this issue and we installed many electric stations. And to be more as an incentive for our clients, but for all the citizens, we installed more than 200 electric stations. And we were committed in all Balkan countries to pay everything, to pay the electricity for 2 years to come. So in this way, the clients would think to change the car and to switch it to an electric car. In 2022, this was much more easy for us because we are talking about the energy crisis, the electricity bill increased, and also the fuel increased. So today it's much more easy. But the infrastructure and building, because in every 100 meters we can find a gas station, but we rarely see an electric station. So that was the idea that we as a group invested and also built. And in this picture here, what you can see is a QR code. Here it comes the technology. We are able, with our company, to make it happen that every client can download the app and they can find the nearest electric station. So we were able also to connect in a way with people and to say that you can invest in something, but you can also benefit something from this. And another thing that I would like to share today with you is something that we didn't announce yet, but we are in the process of putting in the market also something which is very nice and very good when it comes to customer experience. We're able to do transactions, our clients are able to do transactions, but they are not able in a way to open an account totally online. The only time that our clients have to come to the bank is when they need to sign the contracts. So soon we are very proud and in a way glad and happy to announce that we'll be able to have our video ID identification process, and every client will be benefited, and not only our clients but potential clients can open an account online without the bank staff, and totally through the app. So this is to come from Procradit. As I said, we don't stop, because we think that with technology we have to move forward, but we could not do anything without having the proper people. And it's something that we don't invest only in technology, or we don't invest only in those people that deal with technology, but we invest also in staff. Here there are some figures that this time I wanted to show to you, which comprises Procradit Group and what it happens in 2021. We don't recruit in a way people that are ready-made. We invest on people because we want those people to work for a long time in Procradit. As we do for clients, the same we do for our employees. So if we see here the expenditures of training cost, it's a figure which is 6.4 million only in 1 year, which is a big sum and emphasizes our dedication towards training to our staff. When it comes to gender diversity, we see here 50-50, and usually in the banks we say that yes, but most of the banks has these percentages. Yes, but here what we put is the gender diversity in management position. This is much more different, because we see that front office staff, cashiers are always ladies. And when it comes to management position, then we wanted to, and we compare every year ourselves where we are and how equally we treat our people. When it comes to long term, you see then in 2021, more than 70% of our employees actually have more than 5 years working from Procradit. And something which relates us, being an international group, is also the language. And we manage to also onboard new people that they have certain skills and they want to work and they are dedicated to work, but they maybe for a certain reason they don't know how to speak very good English and etc. So even in 2020, we continued, and 130 staff are participated in our English courses in Germany and also in our academy in Veles. And the picture here is a building. It's our building actually, which we are proud of. It's a building where we go and we study for different programs that we have. There are English courses there happening. There are banking academies, but also management academies. And they are open for all the staff that we have. So to talk about to the youth, and I'm very glad that being last time with you, we had few applicants that joined us after we presented that we were here. I actually encourage everybody that wants to live or to work in a working environment which gives you challenges for sure, but also satisfaction from the work and a lot of training as well. Now, why to choose Procradit? I will let the video to tell you, because it's talked and it's told by our staff. Thank you.
që ofrohet ekskluzivisht nga Procradit Bank.
Nëpërmjet aplikacionit në telefonin tënd, ti mund të menaxhosh llogaritë tua, kartat, kursimet dhe çdo shërbim tjetër që ti ke nevojë. Shumë i thjeshtë në përdorim dhe tepër intuitiv.
Kurse sa dhe si të duash me llogarinë e kursimit FlexSave unike, e sigurt, dhe t'jep mundësinë të përdorësh fondet sa herë që ke nevojë.
Merr edhe ti të gjitha shërbimet që të nevojiten, duke paguar një komision të vetëm fiks mujor, pa kosto të fshehura. Procradit, banka juaj direkte.
Për çdo informacion në lidhje me shërbimet tona, mund të telefononi qendrën tonë të kontaktit. Ne jemi këtu për të kontaktuar direkt me ju, për t'ju informuar dhe këshilluar sa herë të jetë nevoja.
Për çdo hap që hedh dhe për çdo investim, gjithmonë me bankën partnere. Jemi këtu për të kuptuar nevojat tuaja dhe këshilluar, në mënyrë që së bashku të marrim vendimet më të mira për ju.
E keni një shtëpi? Doni ta rinovoni? Investo me ne. Bëu ekologjik dhe jepi shtëpisë tënde pamjen që ti do. Mund ta bësh në vetëm 2 ditë atë që ke pritur prej kohësh.
Nuk ka asnjë arsye pse të paguash qirat çdo muaj. Zgjidh shtëpinë që i përshtatet familjes tënde dhe blije me kredi në bankën Procradit. Aprovim në kohë rekord për vetëm 1 javë, pa shumë burokraci dhe me norma konkurruese.
Nëse je duke menduar se po shpenzon shumë për karburant, atëherë kalon në elektrike. Përballo trafikun pa u shqetësuar për shpenzimin e energjisë. Mjet i qetë, i sigurt dhe shumë praktik, me një dizajn modern dhe zero ndotje për ambientin. Ndërkohë, nëse po mendon se ku mund ta karikosh, mos u shqetëso. Ke në dispozicion të gjithë rrjetin e karikuesve të Procradit. E ardhmja është këtu.
Thank you very much.
I need some voice. Thank you, Bedma. Thank you even for linking the concept of decentralization and democratization of Web3 through the traditional banking. So
Yeah.
thank you. And the speech was very good. Now we're going to talk about something very, very interesting. Some days ago, I was reading an article. It was regarding an artist. This artist used his blueprint, his DNA, to transform it into an NFT and to sell it throughout some portfolios of blockchain. Probably he's rich now. I don't know, it was Ethereum, it was Bitcoin, and so on and so forth. I'm mentioning this concept of DNA and blueprint because is here with us today the co-founder of Genome.io, Mr. Aldo De Pape.
Please welcome Mr. Aldo De Pape, founder and CEO of TeachPeach, associate founder of Genomes.
Hello, everybody, and thank you for having me over at ThinkTech. Thank you, Wendy. Thank you, Erion. Thank you, Landmark team, and shout out to Team TeachPitch and Team Genomes. So I'm happy to be back. And I'm here to talk today about Genomes.io, or we have given ourselves a slightly new name, which is Genomes DAO. And DAO stands for Decentralized Autonomous Organization. Now, before anything, because we are very much a Web 3.0 application, and we've got all bells and whistles. So we've got the cryptocurrency, and we've got the NFTs, and we have all of these things. And I'm not expecting you here today to buy into all of that, right? You can be as skeptical, as cynical as you want to be, because I was as well when I started this specific journey. It's like, okay, what is all of this? What is happening here? When explaining Web 3.0, I want you to think about one word and one word only, and it's a word that is important for all of us, regardless of which country, which culture, or wherever you're from. And that word is trust, right? Trust is basically the biggest currency that we have when you engage with each other, but also when you engage with a platform online. And Marina, you showed beautiful screenshots of Google and Yahoo and whatever, and what drives us to click on these platforms is trust. There is something in there that makes you want to trust that specific platform and you click on it and you engage with it. There is trust. Equally so, there's also no trust, because if you don't get it right in that user journey, people won't click on it. And that's the end of your platform. That's the end of your company. That's the end of the engagement. So trust is the currency. Trust is what you need to invest in. Now, Web 3.0 and the evolution from Web 1.0 to 2.0 to 3.0 is basically where we take trust out of the equation. And that's a very funny thing to think about, because basically you say in Web 2.0, I trust you with my data. Facebook, I engage with your platform, I hand over my data. Mark Zuckerberg, I trust you to do the right thing with my data. And there's nothing basically between you and Mark Zuckerberg other than, you know, the terms and conditions that you've clicked to say, okay, so Mark is going, I've got the data, the client trusts me, the Facebook user trusts me, so I will do the right thing. And even though that the Web 2.0 CEO might be genuine, might be trustworthy, he or she can also not give you the guarantee that the right thing will continuously happen with your data. Because what happens, and you hear that so many times, when the company gets taken over, right? The new CEO or the new company doesn't have that trust relationship with you as a user. So the shift is not from trust, so from a system based on trust, we go to a system based on that we call trustless. By default, the user says, I don't trust you, Mark Zuckerberg. Don't take it personal. It's not that I don't want to engage with your platform, but anything that is me, anything that is my data, I keep it to myself. So the system is by default built as such that the data is yours. Your identity is yours and it's yours to keep. So there's a transition going on from trust-based systems to trustless systems. And that is the best way I can describe Web 3.0. We are transitioning from Web 2.0 central databases that hold loads of data to a decentralized database that has cells of data. And these cells, you cannot just break them open. You would need the explicit permission of the user each and every time to open that cell. So if Mark Zuckerberg says, I want to sell your data to Cambridge Analytica, which is, of course, a widely spoken scandal that was going on, Mark would need to write to you and say, hey, can I use your data for that purpose? And that is, I think, the most significant shift here from Web 2.0 to Web 3.0. So if anything that I would like you to remember, I would like you to think, okay, trust. It's a shift going from trust-based to trustless systems. I haven't even started what Genomes DAO does, oh my goodness. Okay, I'll get there. So what do? So we work also with data. And we work with the most sensitive data that us humans will ever possibly have. And that is your DNA, right? The DNA is the blueprint to who you are. It's the biological blueprint to who you are. It tells you everything there is to know about you. Now, another word, a scientific word for DNA, is your genomic sequence, or your genome, right? 22 years ago, they were able to sequence the first genome. The cost of doing that was over $5 billion, right? They could sequence your genome, and the best way to describe your genome, it's like a chain of base pairs. It's a code. It's a very elaborate code. And the good thing to know is that each and every one of us have a different code, which makes us us, right? Only if you have an identical twin, then you share the code 100% with someone else. But in any other case, there's no one else that has that specific code. So it's safe to say that your genome makes you personally identifiable. It is highly sensitive data because you can do so much with the data, and we're only at the very beginning. As I said before, it was only 22 years ago that they were able to sequence the first genome. So you can imagine now that with the cost coming down, so the cost to do that now went from $5 billion to just over $500 today. And already the market leaders in the sequencing sector have announced, like in a few years' time, we're going to be able to do it for $100. And that's a clear indication that the value of the data, the value of your genome, is not in the sequencing, it's in what that sequence says. It's in what that blueprint tells you about you being you, right? And the last thing you should know is that the data is highly, highly valuable. Don't take my word for it. Oh, sorry. Here's a slide of deals that have been done in the hundreds of millions, so I'm talking 300 million, $500 million deals by sequencers in the markets, and at this moment I'd like to refer to them as direct-to-consumer genetic companies. And these are companies like, I don't know if you've heard of 23andMe, anyone ever? Ancestry.com, if you ever heard of them. So what they do is they will say, hey, I know who you are from a genetic perspective. So they would tell you, Visnik, I know where you're from. I can give you your genetic profile going back, you know, a few generations. And that's very interesting. Not only Visnik, everyone, right? so they will give you the Visnik, yeah, use Visnik. So they will give you a report, and it's very interesting. I gave it to my father before I started Genomes, of course. I didn't know what I was giving him, but so because it's interesting, because you can relate. Like he found out we have ancestors from Ireland, and we think that's lovely. It's like, oh, I didn't know we had ancestors from Ireland. That's lovely. It's a gimmicky report. It's nice. It's information. Information is key. It's about attention. So we'd love to pay $150 at a Christmas sale for that. So we pay the direct-to-consumer genetic company to sequence the genome. But what we do not know is that at the same moment, we also say, 23andMe, I waive hereby all commercial rights over my data to you. And from a legal perspective, these companies, I'm sure they have it sorted, because they give you a 30-page contract with terms and conditions that stipulate, you know, clause 385B, we can do whatever we want to do with the data, right? But from an ethical perspective, there's something wrong here, because a lot of people don't proactively read that contract, right? So as soon as you get your gimmicky report, your data is ingested in that previously mentioned Web 2.0 database, and 23andMe then cross-sells your data to big pharmaceutical companies, research organizations, anyone who benefits from the data, right? And here are examples of big deals, 300 million, 400 million, 200 million, and then in 2020, the sale of Ancestry.com to Blackstone, one of the biggest private equity companies in the world, for the amount of $4.7 billion, right? And this is not just for them to know that your grandfather is from Ireland, right? That is a hoax. It is for the sensitive genomic data that they have and that they hold, right? Equally so, there's another danger, because the other things that we wanted to point out is that, of course, a lot of hackers are also aware that your data has value. And not a day goes by, if you read the newspapers or watch the news, that there's not an incident whereby people have tried to get their hands on your genomic data in some shape or form. I myself am based in the United Kingdom. We had a big incident, I think a month or so back, whereby a government-approved COVID testing organization who undertook PCR tests, they had all the samples that was taken from the PCR test. And they were about to cross-sell all those samples to a company for sequencing it, right? And it was that the Telegraph was after them, that they pointed out, oh, I think you're doing something wrong here. You might be government approved, but you do not have the right for the people who took their PCR test with you to then, you know, sequence their genome and cross-sell it, right? This is not a conspiracy theory. This is not a big brothery story. People, as we speak, are being deported, are being denied jobs, are being denied insurance policies because that a certain organization has their genomic sequence, knows more about their genome, right? So next to the trust-based to trustless thing, I would like you to remember one thing. You can agree with Genomes DAO, yes or no, but know that your genetic data is worth something. So be very careful with who you operate. Be very careful if you work with an organization that says, oh, well, we'll just get a tube with your saliva in, or we're just going to do something, it'll be lovely, it'll be great, here's a report and whatever. Read the fine print and see whether it stipulates whether you are still the owner of your data or whether they are. Last but not least, a lot of people say, oh, don't worry, we'll take your name off. They won't know it's you, Visnik. They won't know it's Visnik. But the thing about DNA data is it doesn't get more personal than that. So it is already proven technologically, as well as through those databases, you're always able to retrace it to that specific person. Each and every other way. So there's no such thing as anonymizing DNA data. It just simply doesn't exist. It exists with other type of data. You can take off the name of your phone number, of your home address, but you cannot do that from your DNA data. So where do we come in? Oh, sorry. So here's a little bit about the current model, as I've already explained. So I'm not going further detail about that. Basically, your genome is sequenced via a company, and the company cross-sells your data. And the only way to sequence your data is via that company, right? By the by, we don't want to over-demonize these companies either. These companies are very clever, right? The founder of 23andMe is, coincidentally, also the ex-wife of the Google founder. Like Wozniak is her name, I think. And so, and I'm sure they started it with the right intention because the market is only 22 years old. So it's not by default that they said, hey, let's do this, let's do this in the wrong way or whatever. But as technology allows us now to transition from trust-based to trustless systems, we only think it's a natural evolution, that we can take it from one step to the next. And that's exactly what we want to do. We basically say, we sequence your genome. And after we sequence it on a clinical grade, which is in the market the highest standard that is available, so that grade would give you all information that there is to know about you, we will give it back to you. And we won't just give it back to you, we will give it back to you in a vault. A vault that is encrypted, a vault that only you can open, no one else, right? You have the key to that vault. And in this respect, we also say that even we, as founders of this infrastructure, even if we would want to open that vault, we wouldn't be able to. So the encryption of the vault is really meant only for you. We do not have the keys, you have the keys, right? Little warning, don't lose the keys. Make sure you keep the keys so you can then access your genome in its entirety. What happens is that as soon as you are part of the infrastructure, we will still work with research organizations, pharmaceutical companies, rare disease charities, whoever wants to access your data. Because I hope you hear me loud and clear, we also want scientific progress. We also want to invest in that. We just want it to be democratized. We want to give back to you the data and the money as well that is originally yours. Not give it to those companies, give it back to you. So once it is in that vault, our infrastructure would allow for these organizations to query your data. Now, the data will be queried as such that it will not leave your vault. I'm not going into detail exactly how that works, because that's going to be way too long, and there are two wonderful guests still behind me. But it's an entire process that we have taken around about 3 years to build, right? The vaults that we hold are built with tools from AMD, and I don't know if you've heard of AMD, Advanced Micro Devices. They are the biggest hardware company in the world. They're an absolute fortress on the level of these vaults. And they have a specific technology which is called AMD SEV-ES, and that's the technology that we use to build those vaults. So we work with the best of the best, and we're very proud to be working with them to have these vaults and to make sure that these vaults are robust and secure and unhackable for people to query your data. Now, I think what's the interesting part is the market opportunity here. And by market opportunity, and here are just a few numbers, also how rapidly this market is growing, because I said it's 22 years old, and you see here a very rapid growth of the direct-to-consumer genetic testing market to the overall genetic testing market. And this is just the very beginning, right? This is going to grow quickly. This is in a time span of 4 to 5, in some cases 6 years, how quickly this is growing, because we learn so much from our genome, right? And everyone is, there's not a day go by that there's not a new application that says, hey, we can use your genome. Wendy just mentioned one, right? So that is how quickly this market is evolving, and we want everyone to be able to participate in this market. So an example that I always use is 23andMe sold 6 million exomes to GlaxoSmithKline, and exome is another word for genome. It's just not on a clinical grade. Sorry, that's on a tangent. They sold 6 million sequences for $300 million to GlaxoSmithKline in 2018, right? So if you do the calculation, it's like $50 per person. You could have made $50 per person, from that deal. Don't worry, no one who were the holders of the data didn't get any money. They didn't even know it was cross-sold, right? So what we want to say is, like, if there's such a commercial benefit, if there are hundreds of millions to go around, then give back a little to the original owner of the data, right? And that is what our infrastructure does as well. It's not only just to put the data in the vault for having it there, it's also to learn more about yourself, to get more information about yourself, and to make a bit of money, right? So, and that in such a way that it's genuinely democratized, that anyone can work with it. Now, so where do we want to go? So we, as I said before, we want to be on the forefront of scientific progress. But we wanted to do it in a way that everyone is on board, right? And when you talk scientific progress, what a lot of people in the pharmaceutical amongst pharmaceutical companies and the research organizations are talking about is we're talking about the development of something called precision medicine, meaning that in the future, each and every one of us will take different types of medication in different doses because our doctor or genetic profile says we need a little bit less aspirin than someone else. Or you need a little bit more of that and a little bit more of that. And that will also go in the development of other drugs that are being developed, right? So that's what you call precision medicine. So we want to fully contribute on that process, but also having that infrastructure in place. And that is really our vision, and that is where we want to be. Blockchain technology, because I heard, when the word blockchain technology went around, I heard some people say, yeah, what's happening here? We use the blockchain technology, but we don't use it to put any DNA data on. Please don't leave this room and say, Genomes DAO puts data on the blockchain. We do not. We think that's a very stupid idea, right? The blockchain is a public space. If you work with a public space like, for instance, Ethereum, that's a public space. If you put your data on there, you're also at risk, right? People can get to the data. Never mind the cost. It's very expensive, right? The development of blockchain, as many people have pointed out, and of these platforms, it's still in its infancy. So there's still lots of room for improvement there. We say, no, we do not use the blockchain, and we do not put any data on it, but we use it to our advantage to make sure that we work with one version of the truth. And that means that if anyone queries your data, you're going to have a track record of when it was queried by who. And that is recorded in the blockchain, meaning that that trail is the truth. There's no other trail, and that could be used for auditing purposes. So you can completely see, okay, when was my data queried, what was my reward, what did I get for this, etc., etc., etc. Right? That is where we use the blockchain. Here are some views of the web application. I'm very happy that the web application is live. We're in the App Store. It is working. It is up and running as this grows. And here are some ideas of the mobile application. And it's a little bit like a bank account, so to say. We also like to call ourselves a DNA bank because you basically see what's happening with my DNA vault, right? And one day you have in your dashboard, we have a new exciting report about you, about about your ancestry. We also develop these reports. We have bioinformaticians that develop this for us, about whether you're susceptible for any rare diseases, whether you're a carrier of any rare diseases, but also things like the future hair color, of the hair color of your future children. whether you have any allergies. And that is just these are just the first reports that we can develop. We're only at the very first phase of this. So loads of more reports will be developed here, and we will develop those as we grow. So through our application, we will inform you about that. So you have your genetic profile at hand, and you can gain information. On top of that, you can, as I said before, gain income from this, from being on the platform. Again, no income or no data will be shared if we do not have your explicit permission. Again, we are, I hope we are, a clear example of a trustless system, right? So no data ever leaves the vault if you haven't approved it, right? If you want to, you can put your data in the vault and never touch it again, so you know it's safe. That could be an option for you. Of course, we hope that you will participate in the infrastructure, so you also contribute to scientific research. Okay, I'm way over time, but I just wanted to say, because as I said before, we are also in the utility token and governance token or crypto token market, but not for the reasons that you think. We weren't there to make a quick buck, so to say. We developed a tech stack, and we saw that the Web 3.0 community, who are very concerned with what is happening with their data, they wanted to be rewarded for their input. And the technology stack basically allows you to exchange with pharmaceutical organizations or research organizations. So we basically created a voucher, right? If you have an exchange with this organization, you get rewarded. You can get rewarded in Albanian lek, dollars, an Amazon voucher, I don't know. But we said we want people to be able to convert it in whatever they like. But for that, we created something called a utility token. And only with the idea that you would be able to exchange it, right? We have a clear utility behind the token. So when you say Bitcoin, lots of people are making lots of money with Bitcoin, good on them, congratulations, but there's no utility behind it, right? We have a clear utility behind it. So this token translates with the use of our technology, not the other way around. That's where we developed Gene. Then we also developed a token called GNOME, which is for people to participate in the growth of our company, much like investors, but then Web 3.0 investors. So if you say, I want to be involved with genomes, and I want to follow this, you can buy GNOME. And if you buy that, you are part of the governance of our decentralized autonomous organization. And we have a flourishing, growing Discord community. I don't know if you've ever heard of Discord, of in the thousands of people, consisting of medical doctors, bioinformaticians, people who used to work at 23andMe, researchers who all care about this topic. And they're all governance holders because they care about what happens with their genomic data. They want to be there to spread the message, and they want to talk about this. Last but not least, we also have an NFT. And Davis, are you there? He created this beautiful, there he is. Applause for Davis, yeah, because Davis is the artist. He created something called the Geneticat. And the Geneticat is an NFT like any other. Now, this NFT has a virtual value, right? A value in the digital world, like Marina also spoke about, where you can take it from one place to the other, but it also has a real life value, because for each Geneticat that you buy, you also buy the sequencing of your genome. So you buy a kit. So in the virtual reality, you buy the cat, that looks lovely, and in the real reality, you buy a kit, and the kit is sent to your home, and with the kit, you can open your vault. And I'm very happy to say that we did a launch of this, and we sold many, many of them. So because lots of people are excited about this. It's a little gimmicky, I'll give you that. It's in, going with the hype of the NFT market, but it's very befitting with the Web 3.0 community. That is a community that cares about what happens with their data. So they very much like it. And I'm happy to say that through all of this, we're now working with the government in Australia, we're working with the government in Armenia, we're working with the government in Bermuda, who are all care about this. So there are also, it also translates to bigger institutions and bigger organizations who say, hey, we want to sequence genomes at scale, but we care so much about the privacy of the holders of the actual data. And can we work with your infrastructure? Can you be our logistics partner in setting all of this up? So this B2C concept has a clear drip-down effect into the B2B market. So that is a little bit about genomes.io. Here is a part of the team, many of which are here. Others are in the UK, in Romania as well. Mark, he couldn't be here today. He spoke in 2020 about this, and there's myself and other people. And here are people who we've worked with. Now, I've mentioned AMD, with whom we developed the vaults. We've also received very early on seed investment from the biggest blockchain company in the world, founded by a co-founder of Ethereum, not Vitalik, but Joseph Lubin, who after he left Ethereum, started the biggest blockchain company in the world, also based on Ethereum, which is called Consensus. And they invested, we were part of Tachyon, which is their startup accelerator, and we're very proud and happy to be working with them. And they're quite a name, obviously, in this ever-evolving blockchain world. I will speak no more other than thanking you very much. Here's a little bit of where we were featured. If you have any questions, just grab me later or send me an email. Thank you very, very much, Albania. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Aldo. By the way, great imagery and design. Beautiful. Now, I will pass and present to you another guest. They have written something beautiful for you. He's the youngest in the panel, yet with many achievements. During his career, he has shown a lot of interpersonal and analytic skills, always involved in volunteering and helping others. We're talking about Mr. Reginald Akrasi, representative of Coding Dojo Academy.
Thank you.
Please welcome Mr. Reginald Akrasi, co-founder of Beta Plan Coding Bootcamps, Coding Dojo Albania.
First, I would like to thank you for inviting me to this event to share my story. I actually don't have any slides, but I'll try to keep it short. My journey towards this event today and to technology itself is somehow different from the other guests. I have no connection to technology before this program. I had the chance to study abroad in two of the best universities of the world. I majored in economics in Utrecht University with a focus in sustainability, social welfare. And I finished there with cum laude, and I had again the chance to get a scholarship to study in London at Imperial College. And at that moment I had a dilemma, like every other student that leaves Albania, whether to come back or to stay. For many reasons I chose to stay and to come back in Albania. And for the past 5 years I have been involved in different business initiatives. Mostly they were in the, let's say, traditional sector. I was involved in recycling, trading of different building construction inputs. And this was until the pandemic happened, which I think everybody now has experienced it. At the moment we had, when it happened, all of our operations stopped. So we had to think about having a new solution, how to reach our suppliers or our customers. At that moment, I applied for a grant at RISI Albania, which is an institution from the Swiss government, and which supports innovative solutions for businesses. And then I reached out to Landmark to integrate a new platform, a website, a new platform, and the application in our processes. At that moment, I was too much in contact with the technology ecosystem in Albania, and together with my friends, one of them is here at Mir, we found something that we see that there is a lack of capabilities and human resources in the ICT sector in Albania. At this moment, we have done some social work, let's say, with NGOs for children to help children learn coding. We decided that we need to do more than that, and we founded Beta Plan Coding Bootcamps, which is the representative of Coding Dojo Academy, which is one of the leading academies in the world for coders. We now have a vision, which is we should have 100,000 coders for Albania until 2030. And you would say, why 100,000 coders for Albania? Well, the European Commission has a statistics that until 2030 there will be needed 20 million coders in Europe. And that means that there will be an average of 33 coders per 1,000 inhabitants. So calculating how the population of Albania will reach to the 100,000. It's not that we will train the 100,000 coders for whole of Albania. The whole ecosystem will help us do this. But I would like to say that the importance of this is that we can turn Albania into a tech hub, which would help in not only increasing the GDP and the workforce of the country, but it would help us change our country from how it is seen as a post-communist country in a country where you can find technology and which is a Mediterranean country. Now, with my experience, I can say that there is no division anymore in traditional and technological sector. Everything now is technology. And also these days, we have had the chance to have the CEO of Coding Dojo here in Albania. The Coding Dojo is a leading academy in the world. They are present in 30 countries and training around 30,000 coders at the moment. He saw the potential that we have, and he's very excited that we continue this path here. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Now, we'll go and talk about a little bit of university. We'll talk about architecture. We'll talk about the implementation of new technologies, as has been mentioned before, even in the first panel. So to give us a little bit more of these ideas and to talk about the correlation between new technologies, architecture, and engineering, we'll have today from Epoka University, Professor and Dr. Mr. Sokol Dervishi. Thank you very much for being here with us.
Please welcome Professor Dr. Sokol Dervishi, Dean Faculty of Architecture and Engineering at Epoka University.
Indeed. I'm very happy and honored to be here with you today. Thank you very much for inviting me. I'm the only one academician here, so thank you for putting me here in this very important conference and how to link together the academia with the industry. I think it's very important. When my colleague was talking about the experience, I had the same experience actually, and I'm very proud to come to Albania. I was a full professor at Vienna University of Technology. Right now I'm also a part-time professor. I used to teach there frequently, but I feel so flattered when I teach to my students and I see the product in my hands, and I think it's so nice. And like me, many professors from our university came to contribute and to share their experiences to Albania, and I think that's a great thing to contribute to our economy. Well, my presentation is mainly on two parts. The first one, I want to have some ideas to discuss with you. What should be the role of the universities? Many people and politicians and different groups think how universities should be hubs to help and to contribute to industry and to work together and not being separated. That's the first part of the presentation. And the second one is I'm an architect, by the way, and how to integrate different engineering fields with architecture, because as you know, no one works alone right now, also with Web3 as the topic is. So I think it's very crucial to discuss those two things. Well, as I said, my concern is how to benefit to society and how the scientific research that we do in our universities can be an addition to innovate and to bring up the industry and to have clear ideas to motivate and to actually improve the economy. And as we know, right now, multi-engineering complexes are so crucial, not to specify on one field, but also to have ideas on different fields and to explore those ideas to have a more integrated approach. And we, as a university, we speak in English. We teach in English. I think it's very important because you have this data automatically. So we can we see that there's no boundaries right now between if you are in Albania, or if you teach in Vienna, or if you teach in Germany. The literature is there. And it's very crucial that this English that we use in our university breaks the boundaries. And we have seen that. And our students, after they finish the universities, they even have open companies that they stay in Albania, but also they communicate with different companies abroad, as I saw in these presentations that my colleagues mentioned. But of course, there's a big challenge how to get funds from universities. And we do struggle a lot that this research should be done, but also some funds need. And in Albania, there are some funds, just to show you, we have some national, international funds. As my colleague mentions, he is here, the dollar is very important for us in terms of how to do research, because we should have funds to do that. And national funds, we have some of them. We can have some European funds or some national, international funds. And we are so proud that we have gathered lots of funds from different foundations, and our professors have explored laboratories and where students have hands-on projects rather than having theory only. But with these funds, we integrate students and professors working together as a student-centered university where they can share the experience, they can explore, they can be part of this progress. And here we have some sort information of this project we have. We have different projects we have computer engineering, by the way, in our faculty. I'm dean of the faculty. We have computer engineering, we have electronics, civil engineering, and also we have architecture. I'm an architect. And we have seen that, of course, we should explore between different fields together. I think it's very crucial. And in some projects that we have in the team engineering, computer engineering, sensor data analysis. We have architects, we have engineers. So we work as a team in these big projects because no one can do that alone. And we do some trainings, and trainings students can give their own ideas. They can explore, they can share information. We do not teach, we say always in our university. We direct. We do not teach. We direct how to search and how to explore and how to filter the information, which is so big, it's so huge data, but it's very crucial how to sort the data to use it efficiently. And as I said, we have some innovation projects, and we have the Pambura project actually, which leads somehow in the field of my colleague on the DNA, but not so much, but we had some good results on it. And as we see, we have some slides when we have these experiences. So as I said, universities should have a clear link with industry, but they should be good prepared. And what I learned from working abroad and studying abroad is that should be good, should go deep into research, because if you go deep into research and data, you can have the difference with the other architects or with the other fields. So you have to be on top. And to have on top, the technology is so crucial to deal with it, and even in architecture. And my topic that I would like to be very short, but we architects work with images, so you'll see a lot of images, how sustainable design and technology can work together in city scale, but also in the building scale. Well, when we talk about architecture, we see that the buildings consume a lot of energy, more than 35% of the whole energy goes to buildings. And we as architects have the clear role how to reduce that, not only in terms of the energy, which is so crucial nowadays. We are spending bills, and as we see, it's increasing, but also in terms of health and comfort. Statistics says that older people die because of non-comfort. We talk about Albania, about the energy poverty. They don't have money to have the comfort, to have the temperature level, so they use coverings because they don't have the money. But we as architects and engineers, how we should work together to reduce this problem, energy poverty that we have a lot in our country. And population is increasing in cities. Even in Tirana we have seen a lot of increase in population, which directly relates with the challenges. What should we do? How to design buildings? How to integrate technology in buildings, but also in the urban scale, to have a more efficient, as my colleague said, even the transportation, how to have electric cars, or more than that, how to reduce the CO2 level in the city scale. We have done some studies, and we also will see there that the temperature difference between the city center and outside of the Tirana is more than 9 degrees Celsius, which is crazy. Because the materials which are used in the center, the lack of water bodies, the lack of green, impact directly on the temperature increase, which is directly related with the health, and mostly with the old people health, which shows the death rate high when this happens, which is a crucial and very important problem about the life of human beings. And we talk about energy as a very important, crucial. Many architects worldwide are struggling and are trying to find models how to deal with this issue, how to deal with this globally, but also nationally, but also locally in a building scale. And we as professors, we should teach the students to explore, because as you see, in the first phase of the design, the freedom is so much in the design. I think it's even for the computer engineering. But the margin of error is too high. Our impact is how to reduce this gap, how from the first scratch you should reduce the error when you design about maybe even computer engineering, even in terms of the sketches that we do. And the brain comes at first, so you should think deeply, not building as machines, because humans have some spiritual aspect of it. You cannot think like a machine. You can be close, but we are not machines. However, the computational models, the technology, plays a role in reducing the margin of error that our brain cannot fulfill all of this data information that comes to us. So with these computational models that we use even in architecture, or mainly building physics, when I'm specialized in, is so crucial. Because otherwise, the buildings become like gigantic problems. You see beautiful facade, but inside it's crazy. No comfort, no good levels of light, no good levels of heat. I did some research, and I saw that in kindergartens, when you go, and I did some tests, very simple tests, and I shared to different kindergartens, and I saw a clear correlation between the temperature of the children that stay in such space with their performance. Sometimes we say, why my son is not having good grades? Maybe it's the environment. Maybe the temperature is not good enough. Maybe it's too much acoustics. Maybe it's the problem of the light that doesn't come direct. So we, as architects and engineers, should deal with this, not only in terms of aesthetics, but in terms of the more technical aspects of architecture. And here the computational models play a crucial role. I don't know, maybe also, mostly it's engineering here, computer engineering. They do have computational program simulations. Even in architecture or in our field, you can predict the temperature in one space before the building is built. You can predict the light levels. You can predict the temperature, the acoustical levels. Because it's too late when you do it, after it is built, then it's very difficult to change the geometries. It's difficult to change the materials. However, if you pre-design the concepts, then you reduce the margin of error, you reduce the problems, and you increase the comfort. Because you can have different variables, and you should take the best scenario to improve your problem. You have a field of scenarios, and you select the best one. And here are some strategies that different architects use, and we, as professors, but the students can do consulting. Someone does a building, he says, stop, your facade is not working pretty well. Because the climatic concept of Tirana is not the same as Germany. Maybe a company comes to us and says, I have a very good facade. Yes, it might be very good, but maybe it's too good for Albania. We are a Mediterranean climate, so we should go deep into technical information and to sort the data and to take the best one. And here we have just pictures of nice design that have been used in Europe and abroad, how to correlate the engineering with the architecture, how to use ventilation, the wind, to reduce the temperature by not using machines right now that cost a lot. So by using passive systems, how to reduce the problem. Even geometries, different forms, as we see, how to use the sun. To use sun as a very, very important part of our life. The rays, how to control them during the winter and during the summer. For example, it's a very nice building. It's in Monde d'Arabe in Paris. But however, inside it's not working pretty well. So, because you cannot work there in that library. It's beautiful from facade, but the library is distracting you inside. So as I said, we as architects and engineers should work together like a formula. I mean, of course, architects have some spirit behind, but also some technical information. And we should deal with that. Here are some simulation models. I want to give you just some short topics, 2-3 slides for each that I did with my master students. What we did in Vienna, when I do teach there, I want to teach also here. And these are very, in my opinion, very avant-garde topics. This energy efficiency in city scale and in building scale. One study was in Tirana. We selected 3 different typologies of the housing units. And by computational simulations, we want to know what is the temperature in that space, how the temperature changes during day and night, what are the temperatures of the surface, and what we can do as architects, how a tree can reduce the temperature, how a water body can reduce the temperature. So, to talk about more technically about these concepts. And here we see the ventilation of the air ventilation. For example, we do tall buildings, but do they disrupt the ventilation on the corridors? How that one might impact the temperature of the city. And we do some studies with that with my students here at Epoca University. Another study was in Pristina, the same study. She tried to do some analytics of the materials of the facade, the geometries, the building morphology, the texture, how that impacted the temperature. We put in some sensors to take the data, with Web3 maybe in the future. And this instrumentation gathers the temperature of that zone, and with some camera, we want to see the building morphology. Are the buildings close or not? And we saw there's a high correlation. Look at what happens. If you put some tree, this side is with trees, the other side is without trees. The colors show the level of temperature. In the first part, we see very red colors, too hot, very problematic. People's death rate is high. It's more than, 35, 38 degrees Celsius. But in the right, with putting some trees and greenery, look what happens in the streets. Look what happens in the urban zone. And we see directly those impacts in the human life. And here are some other examples. The red color goes to green, even the surface, if you use that information. That is not only about the air temperature, but also the surface temperature. If you see concrete, betoni, when you touch it, it's very hot. But if you use some other textures, might cost less, but albedo surfaces, in Albania, we need temperatures lower, so we need very transparent white colors. Look what happens. If you use the trees or other data, look, from red, from this color goes to blue, which is a huge improvement. And the students saw that. So, but this works not only in the city scale, but even in the building scale. Most probably also some of you have worked with smart buildings, maybe, I don't know, with sensor-based smart buildings, how to do automation, how the radiation on the facade automatically draws up the machines, like building as machine. The same is in architecture, so we model the buildings. And we do some work. This was another work of an architect. He said, okay, let me draw from the scratch. There are 8 different typologies of school buildings. What would work better for Zagreb, for Tirana, for Greece. So we wanted to know, well, there's not a universal solution. Solutions are local based. So you have to calibrate based on the local data. And we saw a very interesting thing. We saw that in Zagreb, it's another type of forum that is more suitable than in Albania. So we should not copy and paste. We should calibrate things. And we should take the model and do the calibration. Another work that we did is what would happen if we put greenery not only on the city, but on the facade. And we model the facade with greenery. We model the leaves. We model the type of leaves. We model the transparency. And we saw that there's a huge difference in temperature inside if you use greenery on the facade. And also the temperature reduction is pretty used. This work goes unlimited. You can work with traditional buildings to technology, how to reduce the problem in buildings which we have history. We should preserve them, and we as architects should deal with that, but not only architects. And we see that if you do scenarios of optimization, if you put some insulation on these big walls, you have improvement. You can work with underground bunkers. We have a lot of bunkers in Albania. If you use them, these bunkers, not as staying there, but why not to preserve food there? We know that temperature in the earth is very stabilized. Why not use it for medical treatment? And we saw, and we did a case study in Kukës, a lot of tunnels there. We took this segment, we modeled it. Look at the temperature difference. It's not changing a lot. It's very stabilized. But if you use some other functions like pharmacy or storages or food, the need for energy is more. So the concept of technology, Albania is like a laboratory. You can do everything. You can do everything. People come to Albania to study a lot of things. Everything is somehow solved in Germany, in Austria. But when they come to us, they really like it because a lot of things that can be explored on. The last one was a study of agriculture. So I want to relate these topics not only in buildings, but also in agriculture. How to preserve food, how to preserve the apple. And we selected 3 different sites, Fieri, Shkodra, and how, with these different climates, how we can design buildings to preserve food and how to create a model that food should be preserved in one place without being destroyed, but also how to create a model to distribute among different cities to improve the economy. And here we see a lot of graphs, but I want to go too deep just to show you that, yes, we need energy for that, but of course, it's much more worthy than leaving the apples alone and being destroyed without having those spaces, agricultural spaces that actually exist in Albania from communism period. Just collect them and revitalize them for economical purposes. But we use light. Here we can use even light with simulation programs. You can create different, not photos, but images. You can see your impact as design by using simulations. You can use in daylight. This was a study of my student that at our university dealt with light, how the light in the soul disrupted our vision, and what we can do to improve the light of that classroom with computational models. But this was some sensor-based data to collect, and we see that there's a high correlation. But even in acoustics, we do simulations in acoustics. For example, this room acoustics, how to put materials, and engineers and architects should work together, and how the sound is distributed throughout the space. So here we see the potential of technology not only in computer engineering in your field, but also as we as architects, because we can see and we can correlate and we can design without being built. So you can pre-design the concept and select the best option among a series of it. That was my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor, for your enthusiasm.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. It was great having you here today. We came in the end, but I would like to thank you for your contribution and presentation. I would like to thank a lot everybody who was here today. I would like to thank for sure our partners that are great supporters and they made possible. And especially I would like to thank Mr. Ioannis Soufi for inviting me here today and for believing that Albania can be for sure a technological hub and can be transformed into a new point, very hot point, but not in those terms, for young people to stay here and to work for international and beautiful, amazing projects that can happen throughout Albania to outside. Thank you very much. ThinkTech will be next year for sure. It will be great being here with you. Thank you.